Hey guys, so ignore any lighting issues because I don't really know how I'm gonna set up. I thought I would introduce you to some of my girl gang from I'm a Monster because I said that I would, and we can kind of talk back and forth about them and about their story and what we think should go with their story, which is why I have this empty space here, because future editing Carson is hopefully gonna put pictures of them from my Pinterest up here so you can see what I'm talking about. But my main character is Circa. I've mentioned her before. She is very cold. She's very distant. She's almost like an Elsa character from Frozen, where she has powers and she's had them since she was a kid and she doesn't know how to control them. Most of the time she feels like they are controlling her, but she doesn't hide them. She uses them all the time and uses them to hide herself so that she doesn't have to be with other people, talk to other people. And her sister is Kara, and Kara is the queen that dies at the beginning of the book. So you don't ever meet Kara, you just know of her. So you see flashbacks of her when her and Circa were younger, them playing, them being best friends. Their dynamic is really interesting. Kara is more of a mother type figure, but at the same time, Circa is more of the older sister, I would say, as an older sister myself. She's very protective of Kara. She doesn't want anything bad to happen to her. She doesn't want anyone to take advantage of her. She's very afraid of other kingdoms coming and threatening her sister while she's queen. So you don't really know what happened with them before the book starts, but Circa comes to town, to the kingdom, and she's been away for a while. And she comes, she stays for a little bit, and then she announces that she is queen, her sister has died, and she's the last person in her family line. Both of her parents are dead, and now her older sister is. So that's kind of how you meet Kara and what you see from her. Kara loves art, so she paints flowers and landscapes and magical beings. So you see some of her paintings, or you read about some of her paintings in the beginning of the book. Circa doesn't really have a hobby so much. She's kind of, Circa is more militant. She likes collecting things, military things, treasures, kind of my way of adding a little bit of Viking into this story, because she likes to raid other kingdoms and take little things for herself that she wants that will remind her of that kingdom. So those are the two sisters, and Circa is the main character. The next person is Kiva. And Kiva is the closest thing Circa has to a friend. They're not really friends when the book starts. She doesn't know her at all when the book starts, and they end up getting to know each other. Well, Kiva gets to know Circa. I don't know that Circa necessarily gets to know Kiva, but Kiva comes from a poor family. She's a really hard worker. She is an observer. She likes to stand back and watch what's going on around her, which is kind of how she ended up with Circa, who's a little bit more rash. One of the first scenes that you see in this book, well, this book that is no longer a book, is Circa destroying her home. So obviously she's a little rash. She makes snap decisions, but Kiva is definitely more level-headed, and she holds her tongue more. She likes to watch and she doesn't manipulate people, but she definitely knows what to say to certain people to get them to calm down, get them to respond the way she wants them to. So that's Kiva. I love Kiva. She's fun and spunky and knows what it's like to have to work for something, and she knows what it's like to be an outcast. So she ends up being a really great friend to Circa, even though Circa's not a really great friend back. Another character who I don't have a picture for, so maybe I'll find one to put here, but another character is Alice, and Alice is an older woman. Alice is kind of like the grandmother to everybody in the central village where the palace is. So she looks after everybody. She has her nose sort of in everything, but not in a busybody kind of way, in just like information sort of comes to her kind of way. And Alice is the first person that people turn to when Circa announces that she's queen, and she doesn't really respond, which makes people angry. They want her to fight against Circa, but she sort of hangs back. She doesn't really want to do that. She knew Circa when she was little, and so you see flashbacks of Kara and Circa when they are children from Alice's point of view, what she saw of them. And she doesn't necessarily support Circa, but again, like Kiva, she wants to hang back and wait and see what's going to happen before she makes any type of huge decision about the woman who is now her queen, who she saw growing up and struggling with her powers. And you don't really know what powers Alice has, but you know that she, well, you can assume that she has powers because she seems very powerful, if that makes sense. So the next people I'm going to introduce you to, the last people I'm going to introduce you to, are three ladies, and they have blessings, which is what I call the magic system in this book, is that they are touched by the gods and you get blessings. And so these three women have blessings, and they travel together sort of as a protective measure. They don't stay in one place for very long, and they all have different abilities that make them a team. So the first person is Mirin, and Mirin is a healer. So you see her when you first get introduced to the witches. You see her and there's a line of village people waiting to be healed by her, whether it's little cuts or burns or, you know, broken bones. They're waiting in a line in the forest for her to heal them. And it's not like she can't bring anybody back from the dead, I don't think. Mirin is very quiet. She doesn't necessarily speak out among the three of them. She sort of lets the other two butt heads, which they definitely do. But Mirin is there to kind of calm people and take care of people. She's also kind of like Kara. She's a very giving person, a very caring person, which you would assume she is because she's a healer. So she definitely takes that on in her everyday life with the other two ladies who are a little bit more strong-willed than her. So the next one is Nevis, and Nevis has some type of nature blessing. Nevis walks around sort of in her own head. She's not really aware of the world around her. She's very whimsical. Like when the people are waiting to be healed, she's warming them. She's lighting little fires that just spark off and warm people. And she never has shoes on, and she wanders around the woods by herself. And the witches are not with Circa. They're not in Circa's kingdom, but eventually they get there, and they get there because Nevis has a feeling. So she just feels like they need to go that way, so they follow her to see what it is she's sensing, I guess. Nevis is very fun. She doesn't talk a whole lot except for when she has something to say. And when she has something to say, there is no deterring her from what it is she has decided to do or to believe in or whatever. The person that she butts heads with, and the last person I'm going to be talking about, is Leisha. And Leisha has a battle blessing, So she's kind of the protector of the group. She's very cautious, she's very observant, but not observant the way Kiva is, in kind of like a curious way. But Leisha is observant in a constantly looking for danger way. She is always very skeptical, she's very pessimistic, she's very cynical, and she's awesome. And her and Neve butt heads a lot because Neve makes these snap decisions that Leisha doesn't necessarily agree with, or it's not even that she doesn't agree with them, but that she thinks they should spend more time and think about it, and Neve's like, no, we gotta go now, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. And it drives Leisha crazy, but they somehow make it work. Maybe Mirin kind of holds them together. So those are all of my ladies from I Am a Monster, and I love them all so very deeply, and I want to find their story so bad. If you guys have any ideas for what their story is, or what they should be doing, or any exercises you think I should try with these characters to kind of find out what their story is, also in the comments down below, let me know if you guys have this sort of floating character, a floating idea in the back of your head, the way I Am a Monster is for me, that you really love but you don't necessarily know what to do with yet. I would love to hear about those if you have any. If you want to see more writing and reading content from me, then please hit that subscribe button down below. I would love to have you here, and I'm very excited to keep making videos about I Am a Monster and create kind of a series where we figure out their story together, and we can even write some of it together, and I think it'll be really fun and interactive. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!